LightWorkers will rule the earth after the solar flash. Hi, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, the best way you can help me at this moment is to subscribe to this channel, like, comment, etc., etc. I'm also on Rumble, so go there and subscribe to me there. All right, let's just get right into it. This is very interesting, and those of you who have been doing light work, whatever that means to you. I mean, if you're a meditator, you're a teacher, you're somebody who wants to bring spiritual change, you see yourself as a light worker, you see yourself as a starseed, then what is going to happen after the solar flash is that these are going to be the people who will end up being prominent in the new golden age world we are going to experience. So I would like for you to think about how evolution works on this planet, because what we are experiencing, it officially started in December 2nd, as far as I know. That's when it officially started. That's when the shift began. And we have now been experiencing, and as of the filming of this video, we're about to receive some more solar radiation hitting the Earth. But we have been in what people are calling the solar flash. Solar flash is not an accurate term of what is actually happening, because a solar flash makes it sound instantaneous. And it's not instantaneous from our perspective. It will be, 500 years from now, people will look back and they will look back at it like we do whenever there's an extinction event or whether there's a big species shift. It looks like this instantaneous event in the historical record. But for the beings that live in it, there might have been a very impactful aspect to it, but there was a before, a during, and an after. So we are in the beginning phases of what people have been calling the solar flash. It's actually not the solar flash. The better way to term it is a series of solar waves. You can call it the solar wave event. And this started officially on the 2nd of December of 2022, and it is still going on. We are in a very interesting shift where the magnetic field of the Earth is fluctuating, creating severely reduced magnetic field around planet Earth. And on top of that, we are entering a solar maximum, which is going to continue until 2026. And there's going to be a greatly increased solar radiation, solar plasma that's going to be hitting the Earth while it is also experiencing this reduction in electromagnetic field. So, as we talked about before, this is something that happened during the extinction of the Neanderthals and the rise of modern humans. And so a new theory is that it was the solar radiation that changed the DNA of the Neanderthals so that they died off. And it stimulated changes in the DNA of humans, and they rose to prominence. But I want you to take a look at things like the rise of mammals. At one point in time, mammals were just tiny little rodent creatures. And they were running around, hiding underneath the roots and digging into the ground and these kinds of things. And there were these enormous dinosaurs that ruled the earth. And they were, there was no reason why they wouldn't continue ruling the earth. And then there was this huge external event. We think it was a meteor striking the earth, causing this huge worldwide extinction event. And the dinosaurs died out. They actually didn't die out. They actually turned into birds, which is interesting. But in terms of giant creatures walking around, those are gone. Those giant reptilian creatures walking around, those are gone. And the tiny little mammals who were, scratching, eking out a survival underneath. They had to hide so that they didn't get eaten or stepped on by these enormous creatures. Those beings all of a sudden rose to prominence, and now who rules the world? A bunch of lemurs, apes. You're a primate. Your ancestors were lemurs. The ancestors of those were rats running around. So this is what is going to happen in the new world when it comes to LightWorkers, Starseeds. Because what is happening now is that the vast majority of people who are spiritually advanced beyond the mindset, I want to be very clear about this, their mindset is spiritually advanced beyond those people who are ruling the world now. People who are ruling the world now are bankers, Wall Street types, politicians, corporate moguls. Talking people have billions and billions of dollars. The ones that we know of, the ones that really rule the earth, they are completely out of sight, but they are trillionaires. I don't know. They could be quadrillionaires for all I know. And they operate on a completely superficial level. They create wars. They create all kinds of things. And they have a very materialistic view of the world. And so materialism, which came about in the age of Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, which we have been out of for a few hundred years now, but we're still feeling the last ditch effects of it. These people have been ruling the world, and completely underneath, on the opposite side, the complete opposite side of that, you have what we would consider to be LightWorkers. And these people tend to be very sensitive. They're very physically sensitive, emotionally sensitive, energetically, psychically, spiritually sensitive. They tend to be more right-brained than, is that right? Yeah, more right-brained than left-brained, more artistic, healers. Now, there are some LightWorkers who are able to really make a good living in this world, and then there's the vast majority of them who really don't. They do their service, they do their healing, they do their music, they do whatever it is that they do, and they pretty much, just like the mammals, they scurry around and they eke out a living and they survive. They've learned to be very resourceful. They've learned to hide their true self so that they don't get stepped on by the big boys. But what's going to happen now is all of those dinosaurs that are ruling this world, they're going to go the way of the dinosaur. They're going to go extinct. What I mean by that is that way of life is going to go extinct. And now I was very clear with my verbiage. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was very clear about the mindset of the light worker is far more advanced and not superficial. However, I have to honestly say, most people who are vociferously identifying themselves as starseeds and light workers have a lot of maturing to do. Because what ends up happening is you end up having these very sensitive people. And when you're very sensitive in a very challenging, difficult, narcissistic, abusive world, you end up with people who have a lot of trauma. And so we have people with a lot of trauma and a lot of victim mentality. At the same time, they're also very sensitive and they're very spiritually aligned. And so this is why people make fun of, your typical spiritual person as being, out there or loopy. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of light workers who have done the work on themselves and they are psychologically quite mature. So those that have been damaged, those that have gone through trauma, they're going to have to go through a very fast maturation curve. They're going to have to work through their issues very quickly. The good news is is that there is no shortage of higher dimensional energy available for people. I know, in the past, I want to say 9 months, I have probably, feels like I've worked through, 4 or 5 lifetimes worth of karma. Very challenging stuff. And it's a direct result of me connecting to higher dimensional realms, choosing to do that. It doesn't hurt that I've been spending, all of my adult life in therapy, 12-step recovery, and spiritual practice. But when you have people who only do spiritual practice and they haven't done as much work on themselves, then you have this kind of imbalance within them where they're very intuitive and they're very spiritual, but they're also very immature and have a lot of pain that they need to work through. But these are the people who are going to rule the world. The Lightworkers are going to rule the world, and especially those who have worked on themselves. And there are going to be a lot of people who are going to shift instantly up. A lot of Lightworkers are in pain because they don't have the connection to the realm that they really want to be in. They really want to be, Starseeds will tell you, not completely accurately, but they'll tell you that they're not from here, they're from other dimensions and they're from other galaxies, and this isn't their home, and so it's very difficult for them. And that they are not like most humans. So that the truth that was, the part of that is true will be stimulated when these higher dimensional energies start to hit. These people will start to wake up. And they'll start to own their own behavior, their own dysfunction, and their own imbalance. You're going to see a lot of very sensitive people who are going to stop doing drugs, they're going to stop doing alcohol, they're going to stop doing things that they've needed to do in order to survive in a very unfriendly world. And they'll be able to open up their hearts again, and they'll be able to trust. You're going to see a lot of people who, believe that we live in a prison where there are false beings of light. So I know a lot of you watch my channel. You guys believe in false beings of light, and you believe in that there's good aliens and bad aliens. You hold on to this need to believe that there are predators out there in the spiritual realm that want to devour you. And the majority of the cases of people who believe this are people who have unresolved trauma from their childhood, and they're projecting their experience with their narcissistic, abusive parents onto the spirit realm. So they say beings of light, false beings of light. Those beliefs you're gonna watch, those beliefs are going to disappear. There's gonna be, the vast majority of those people are gonna drop that belief. They're gonna realize that that was their own issue, and they'll work through it. So a lot of these people who are struggling now in a lot of pain, there's going to be a massive amount of healing, a huge shift upwards. It's going to be challenging, but they'll make it. And the people, as I said, who are ruling this world, the tyrants, the psychopaths, the completely, totally corrupt, superficial bankers, etc., all those movers and shakers, they are going to disappear. What I mean by that is they're no longer going to be ruling the show. Why is that? Because in this new golden age that we are going to end up in, eventually, I don't know when, but eventually there will be no money. People will never have to go and earn a day's wage just to survive. There will be no banks. Right now, banks own everything. Those of you who own your home, how many of you don't have mortgages? None. Maybe a small percentage of you. But the bank owns your home. They can take it whenever they want. If something happens to you and you stop paying your mortgage, they'll take it from you. How many of you own your car? Almost none of you. You rent it. So who owns all of it? Banks. I have a landlord here that I'm renting from. I feel pretty certain that they pay a mortgage on this house. So they don't even own, my landlord doesn't even own this house. Probably, I don't know, I haven't asked them, but more than likely they don't. You'd have to be really rich to be able to buy houses outright without having a mortgage. So you don't own your house, you don't own your car, you don't control the economy. You're not being paid based on your worth, based on your existence. You're being paid based on how you fit into the true archons, the human beings, the powers that be, that need you in order to keep their world going. All of that's going away. And what will happen is the world will be ruled by intuition. Will not be ruled by money or any of that stuff. Same thing with science. Science is going to be ruled by intuition. And intuition will drive people to find out scientific truths. And just to give you an example, Einstein's very famous equation, E equals mc squared, having to do with energy. And the truth is that came to him in a flash. He wasn't even studying science formally. He wasn't in school. He wasn't in university or college. He was working as some kind of a clerk or something, and he was watching, I don't know what it was. He was watching a worker doing something, and it came to him in a flash. The E equals mc squared. He then went to university and spent years in university so that he could study to find the verbiage and the mathematics so that then he could bring his theory to the world. So this is going to be how science, medicine is going to be done by intuition. It's going to be done by psychic connection. And rulership is going to be completely different. So I don't know what kind of governments. What you're going to have is you're going to have what we used to have. We would have tribal people coming together as a tribe and working together and agreeing together. But there will be very powerful spiritual people who will not hold any office. They won't be elected to any office, nor will they have, forced their way up. They won't own anything. They won't control anything. But there will be very powerful spiritual people who, with their meditative powers, they will hold a space of protection over the planet, over their village, over their continent, over, this is ideally what the father is supposed to do. Ideally, in spiritual understanding, the father is the one who goes and does the rituals because it is supposed to be his spirituality that puts a cloak of protection over the family. The mother does her spirituality in the home, in the family. She sings songs to the children. She chants mantras to the children. She uses her powers of perception, and she uses her ability to intend her reality and spread her energy around. So she does it from within the home. We could debate who's more powerful, but it was the father who, the head of the household, who would go and do the rituals, and through his meditation, he would bring luck and he would bring prosperity to the family. So there are going to be people like that who people may not even know they exist. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they'll have like an honorary shamanic post or something, but there are going to be people on the planet whose spirituality are keeping people safe and empowered energetically and spiritually. But the people who are going to have the most influence in this new society are going to be the people who are now on the bottom of it, who are the healers, the spiritual teachers, the starseeds, the people that are really struggling right now. Those people are going to blossom and bloom, and they're going to end up being the ones that guide society and guide spirituality. So if you are one of these people, I have a couple of suggestions. The first one is this shift that's coming, you must choose to vibrate on a higher level. What that means is you must face yourself. So I have a strong suggestion for everybody. And again, I've said this before, it's hurtful to me to read some of the comments. But people will come on the channel not knowing any better, and they will throw out comments like, yeah, the solar flash is coming and all the evil people are going to, what's going to happen to them? They're going to be left out. And that's very, very painful for me to read. And it should be painful for you also. Because if you truly are a light worker, then what you have more than anything else is a compassion for all souls. And you have an awareness that all people who are damaging are people who are themselves damaged and in a great deal of pain. And you're also aware that every single human being that has incarnated on earth is first and foremost an infinite, perfect spiritual being just like yourself. So if you carry resentment, if you carry anger, and if you feel that you've been wronged, and if you're full of resentment, you have reason for that, because the world, this three-dimensional world, has been extremely, extremely hurtful and damaging to the most sensitive of people. And so you have the right to have all of those feelings, and you're not wrong to feel that pain, but you got to drop the anger. So the first thing that happens, you have to mourn for the pain you've experienced. You've been hurt, you've been rejected, you've been undermined, you've been looked over, you've been neglected. It's okay to have pain over that. Your anger, your unforgiveness is a protection mechanism. And I especially want to address all the people, love and light people, who say, I'm beyond that. They'll also say things like, I forgive, but I don't forget. They'll do things like take drugs, drink, in order to stuff down their pain so they can keep saying to everybody, looking good to the world, virtue signaling about how free of anger they are. So if you have pain, own it. If you've been wronged, own it. And then work through it. I suggest you find some mentor, some teacher, some counselor that you can work through that pain. Second thing that I recommend that you do is you start imagining what you want to do as one of the new elite of the world. The sensitive, spiritual, right-brained, loving, kind, artistic people. How do you want the world to be? What kind of world would you create? Because you're going to be the one who's going to create it. The people who've created this one, well, obviously doesn't work. So that kind of materialistic, superficial, selfish, greedy thinking isn't going to work anymore. Those who believe that the universe loves us all, those who believe that the universe provides everything for everybody, those who believe that we live in a spiritual world, not a physical world, and those people who have been seeing light beings and spirits your whole life, you're going to find out you're not crazy. You're going to find out that you had vision, you saw the range of consciousness in our reality that a lot of people couldn't see because they were so choked off in their three-dimensional blindness. But we're going to find out that fairies are real, that earth spirits are real. We're going to find out perhaps unicorns have been clomping around this whole time. We're going to find out definitely beings of light, higher beings, have been interacting with us, and in fact are interacting with us all the time, just out of our dimensional reality. We will be able to shift in and out of different dimensions. We'll be able to communicate freely with loved ones who have passed. They're still moving along. They're just not in our dimension anymore. We'll be able to communicate with them, continue our relationships with them. We will be able to do things with our mind that people just can't even begin to comprehend. We're just in the very beginning of this shift. So if you're having a hard time believing it now, that's okay. But, we will all find out. We're all going to see. If the naysayers are true, which I hope they're not, but if the naysayers are accurate, who say that those who are on a lower vibration won't make it up to a higher dimensional level, then that means that all of us need to choose. And so as this solar energy hits us, because there's going to be more and more of it, I'm feeling some of it right now as I'm saying this. Your first reaction is going to be if you have a lot of pain, all your pain is going to come up. If you feel anxious, it means that you still have an attachment to the third dimension. You're going to want to fight it. I did that, and it actually physically caused me harm. When I first got introduced with high levels of this energy, my left brain, my intellectual brain, tried to figure it out, and I actually physically hurt myself. So I've learned the hard way that when the energy comes, especially if I start feeling anxiety, I relax and I breathe into it, and I allow myself to go into the state of bliss. To be in bliss is to be in the unknown. To be in bliss is to not have control. So you must be aware of when you're trying to control your reality. And there's a reason I tell people to talk from your feelings. So during this Aries transit, Jupiter transit in Aries, we also have a retrograde Mercury right now. So people are talking from their intellect, and they think it's their feelings. Just to give you an example, again, back and forth with me and somebody on the channel, and they said honest feeling, and then they started criticizing me for wrong beliefs and not doing what they want and all that. And I said, that's not a feeling. That's a judgment. You're trying to control me with your passive-aggressive judgment. And the person said, it's not a judgment when I share my feeling. Well, the difference is feeling a feeling is not the same as expressing your feelings. So express from your feelings right now, even though you strongly have a judgment towards somebody. You want to tell somebody where they're wrong and why they need to do things differently, and you have a lot of feelings behind it. Or you feel that Jesus is Lord and you have a really strong feeling behind it. That's not a feeling. A feeling is I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry. Reduce your feelings down to that and say that to people. Just say your feelings to those who can hear it. And this is going to be the language in the golden age. People will talk from their feelings. They won't talk from their judgments. So I could ramble on, but I'm going to stop for now. So again, light workers are going to rule the earth after the solar flash. Those people who, I don't quote Jesus very often, but the meek shall inherit the earth. Those who are on the bottom, like the poor little mammal during the age of the dinosaurs. One day he was on the bottom, the next day he was on top. He had the whole world to himself, and all the dinosaurs were gone. This is what's going to happen. Light workers are struggling now on the bottom, really trying to hold their own. And then as the shift comes, the narcissists on the top are going to disappear, and the light workers are going to have this world all to themselves, and you'll be able to create the new world. In fact, that's why you're here, to create this new world. So the other thing that I didn't get to that I recommend is that you do energy work. If you haven't done it yet, go to thunderwizard.com, scroll around and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. This program gives you chi power, kundalini power, and the lightning power of the heart, which destroys evil and negativity in yourself. If you do this every day and keep yourself open, you will begin to shift. You will be able to handle the higher dimensional energies much more easily. You will be able to relax into the unknown and rise up into the bliss that is coming for all beings. And if there are people who are going to have to choose to make it, you'll be able to do that because you'll know the difference. You'll have faced your demons and you will be able to move along with the rest of us. Interdimensional Revolution, very important book. Go get it. Amazon, Kindle, Audible. And Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, another one of my books. You can go to Michael William Denny, DENNEY.com. I mean, don't write Michael William Denny and then DE, spell it out. I'm telling you how to spell the last name. MichaelWilliamDenny.com, and look for my books. And of course, courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my stuff. And go and watch the Jupiter transit through Aries to learn about this mantra, which I think is very important right now, because now things are going to shift so fast and in such a positive direction. Watch what happens. April, May, June of 2023, huge shifts in a positive direction. And by chanting this, you align yourself with the planet, which is the priest, which is Jupiter. You align yourself with this power of expansion and spiritual awareness. That's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. And of course, I will see you all very soon. Take care.